thoughts on these 3 questions? We have about 7 minutes to do this. And just as a disclaimer, we started recording now. We should have done it a little bit earlier, right? But I do want to take note of this, so we are recording. Thank you. Yes, I see hands up, Teresa.
Yeah, good morning, buenos días, ¿cómo estás?
Yeah.
I just want to go ahead and contribute right now. I will be speaking, so I don't want to take a lot of time up or presenting anyways. But in regard to community collaboration, si se puede, we can together. We are very strong together, and we all are representatives of organizations that have resources that are available. And to bring all of that together to improve the lives of the customers that we work with, the clients that we work with, the families, the moms, the fathers. I just want to say that how important that is, that if you look at what you have available at your disposal right now and what you can bring to the table, not for the benefit of you or for me, but for the benefit of the people that we work for. So I just want to put that out there, that San Diego Futures is here and in the house today. Thank you.
Teresa, and we're looking forward to hear more details about all your programs as well. Thanks. I see another hand from Emma O'Brien.
Yes, good morning, everyone. Sorry, I'm connected on both my phone and the laptop, so I don't know if is there an echo?
No, everything's fine.
So hi, good morning, everyone. Emma with SBCS, formerly known as South Bay Community Services. And to answer some of these questions, I've actually only been part of the collaborative since the lockdown, since March, so I'm not sure what it looked like prior. But as far as the contribution to the local landscape, I think what comes to mind is just all of us partner agencies, stakeholders in the community really being able to come together and stay connected in a time where it's been very challenging to stay connected. So I really appreciate this space, I think, for that reason, and just sharing resources that normally we might learn about at health fairs, resource fairs, just being able to network in spaces where now they haven't been available since the lockdown. So that's what comes to mind definitely with serving the local landscape.
Thank you, thank you. More comments? I think Monica has her hands up.
Hi, good morning. This is Monica from HealthNet. So I do covered California outreach. I've had comments at some of the events that we've had in the past with you folks. Some of the families have said that you guys are very family friendly. You guys make it really easy for them to come to seek help and services. And then, like previously mentioned, you also have a lot of organizations that you partner with to really help these families with some of the services that they really need. So I know some of the face-to-face was what really helped some of these families. And I know this last year has been a bit difficult, but I'm pretty sure they saw how well you folks thrived during this year with COVID. So I'm pretty sure moving forward, it's just going to get better for these families.
Thank you for that feedback. And indeed, we aim to continue with that tradition forward as well. More comments? Especially about the part about what would be the role that CVCC can continue to play moving forward in 2021 as we open up with restrictions, with less restrictions, but still never the same as we were before COVID. Now that we have tested the waters of remote work, remote education, training sessions, and outreach, I think that we cannot just revert back to the usual way of doing things. And that's why we want to incorporate what we can and to the best of our abilities for activities moving forward in 2021. Comments on that? Yes, Ricardes? Your first name I didn't get.
Hi, good morning. I'm Ale. I am the Community Engagement Manager for Blue Shield Promise. I will be reaching out at Brenda Lee to schedule a meeting. We used to work pretty closely with the former executive director. So, I mean, you do amazing work in terms of keeping us coordinating services. I think that's one of the biggest contributions that you make to the community, addressing priority needs and really bringing us together to collaborate and address issues that are hugely important to the community. So thank you so much for that. And I see you continuing to do that amazing work in terms of coordinating and making sure that resources are being brought to the community. We also look very much forward to participating in the Adelante Promotores conference. So I'll be reaching out to you for that as well. Thank you so much for the wonderful work that you do. You're an amazing partner in the community, the partner to go really for addressing issues and making sure that those issues are being addressed in a smart way. So thank you so much for the work that you do.
Thank you. And I also am seeing some comments on the chat that for new attendees in recent months, this attendee, I really appreciate the consistent email communications about the projects and how to connect. They also, let me see, oh, Yadira is telling us that although, there's a conflict of interest with this meeting, with another meeting at this time, but yes, we do record sometimes a full call, but most of the time the full call is recorded and we post it after 24 hours in our webpage alongside with all the materials that our staff collects from the speakers, like flyers and things. So it's available for future reference. So you can access the calls. If you have to miss the live presentation, you can still access it at 3 o'clock in the morning or whenever you have the time. So that's it's a record of our interactions there. Any other comment before moving forward? And again, this is just kind of to put it out there in your radar. We're going to send a quick email with this 3 questions. So later you can give it more thought and think of it, how we can align future activities with your own future activities for 2021. So I think that would be a marker there for our 3rd question regarding moving forward. And I wanted, with those preparations and reopenings and all that, I know that David prepared a video to show and illustrate parents, families, and other community members that we are following, guidelines, that is safe to come to our centers, that we are taking all the precautions that we need to. And if somebody prefer not to comply and using masks, we still offer the option to assist them via phone. So we are respectful of people's choices. We educate about what is best and what science is telling us, but still we do not deny services. And David, whenever you're ready, I would like people to see the work you did in showing how we are preparing for our reopening for walk-ins at our center. Welcome to the Chula Vista Community Collaborative Family Resource Centers. We are ready to support our school families in our Chula Vista community. We do so via phone, email, video conferencing, and in person by appointment. Safety is our #1 priority. So we follow several measures and practices that you are already familiar with. Using masks, face coverings, practicing safe physical distance. We monitor our symptoms and conduct temperature checks at our locations. We clean, disinfect, and wash our hands as per current guidelines. We also ask the same from our clients when they visit us. You need to use a face mask or a face covering when you visit us in person. Services available to our community include medical, health fresh, student services, and also we help you directly with food, clothing, and application assistance with emergency rental and utility programs, among others. Visit our website for more information. We are at www.ChulaVistaCC.org. Thank you for choosing Chula Vista Community Collaborative Family Resource Centers. Oh, thank you for those applauses. Again, like many of you, we have become like social media wizards and putting together our own materials and video products. So I know that many of you understand our our struggle, right? Using what we have and using our staff as talents for these marketing efforts, because actually they are the faces of CVCC. So thank you, Evan, for indulging us in this feedback request, and another opportunity via email will be provided for you to provide that feedback. Next slide. And just quickly, there is, as you know, and many of you may have participated in supporting this effort, SBCC, CS, formerly known as South Bay, has been the leader in the response for supporting the migrant children in the San Diego. I included the link there for when you download the slides later. But there's more information there about all the things that they're doing, the wonderful things, and even what I admire is the quick response that the organization put together, bringing volunteers and paid staff from all over that to address the needs of these young adults, including deployment of some of my staff on loan for to supply the demand, because the demand and the need is there. So there are several opportunities there that you can contact them for assistance. Mauricio Torre is a member of the steering committee for the Chula Vista Community Collaborative, and I'm sure that he will be very happy to hear about your interest in supporting their services for the youth support program, among others. Next slide. And now to the meat of the call with the lineup of our speakers. Let me see before we move on if there are any questions or comments in the chat. Here, oh, there are more statements about other conflicting calls that are happening right now. But yes, thank you for letting us know of your contact information, and if you think that we should consider alternate schedules, like 1 month in the morning call, 1 month in the afternoon, and alternating schedules, if that is something that it may help some of you or your colleagues, it would be good if you let us know survey link. Let's just consider all the options to better serve our partner organizations. So without further ado, we have the lineup, and we begin with lovely Marta Quintero. I see her lovely face already there. Thank you for joining us. You're going to be the first speakers with some new updates on your programs on rental assistance. I'm very excited about that. And the Teresa Valenzuela, who you already have met earlier in the call today, about overview of your programs. Carlos Alessandrini, I think I see him, yes, with wearing the mask and the headphones, on childhood lead poisoning. And then we'll hear more about baby Ruth Safe Haven with Dr. Rebecca Rivera. I think I see her, let me see. But I'm sure that we will have a pleasant call today, and let's get started with Marta's presentation.
Awesome. Thank you, Brenda Lee. It's great to be here. And thank you. I know it's been a while since I've been with the group presenting. So this is exciting for me to be here and be able to bring it So I'm going to cover some old programs that we already have, but nonetheless, they're very important programs that can continue to help our communities. And I'm also going to introduce a new program that launched in February that SDG&E has put out to help with customers struggling to pay their utility. So I just want to make sure that the importance of having these programs and making sure that everyone has contact with struggling customers, that we offer these programs. So next slide. So we're going to talk about our CARE program, which it's a program that many of you may already be familiar with. This is a 30% discount on a customer's bill. More than ever, we encourage customers to look at their income because we've had a lot of customers that have lost jobs, that have reduced their jobs, and maybe they didn't qualify in the past for the CARE program, but now they do qualify and they are not even aware that they may be eligible. This 30% discount makes a big difference on customers' bills. There's two ways to qualify, and one of them is through the income that you see here on the screen, and the other one is through a public assistance program. So if the customer already participates in one of these programs listed here, then it's an automatic qualification. They don't need to report their income. So I would always start here, like especially with this organization that deals with a lot of parents that have kids in school, and these children are part of the National School Lunch Program. That's an automatic qualification for this program. So, it is important that we continue to get the word out. Chula Vista Community Collaborative has done an outstanding job in getting these programs out into the community. Our penetration rate in those areas it's extremely high, but I know that there's still customers that we can reach to make sure that they get on these programs to help them with lowering of their utility costs. Next slide. The Energy Savings Assistance Program is same exact qualifications as the CARE, income or participation. And this is when we can offer customers upgrades to their homes. There's things like repair, replacement of insulation, weather stripping, replacement of appliances, doors, windows. The measures vary. So we have someone come out to the home, do an evaluation of the home, and then it's determined what they qualify for. Customers can be renters. All they need to do is have the landlord approval if there are modifications that are going to be needed to make to the home. But they don't need rental approval to get someone out and do an evaluation. Once the evaluation is done, then it could be submitted to the landlord and they can approve for some of these measures to be placed in their home. One of the other programs that I didn't have in the slide, but I also want to measure. So we have the CARE that offers a 30% discount, but we also have another program that is FARA, that is an 18% discount on the electric portion of the customer's bills. And that has higher income guidelines. So customers can make a little bit more money, still qualify for a discount. Sometimes, customers just miss it by a couple $1,000s and they're like, gosh, so we have a tier 2 of a discount, which is a little higher guidelines. And all of these programs can be found on our website. So customers can go there, look. We also, I think, have forums at the Chula Vista Community Collaborative that has the information on this, the CARE applications, and are available as well. So next slide. Medical Baseline Allowance Program. This is not an income qualified program, but what this program does is offers customers with a medical condition that requires the extra use of energy, more energy at a lower rate. So all our customers are billed in a tier. The lower tier is we get so much energy at that lower tier. Once we use up that bucket of energy in the lower tier, we move on to the next one, and the cost is higher. Customers that can qualify for the Medical Baseline Program can get more energy in that lower bucket. It almost like doubles in that month. So there's quite a bit of savings there. An average savings is about $33 a month for customers who can are eligible for this. This is not income qualified, as I mentioned. This just requires that a customer has a medical condition that is signed by their doctor that qualifies them, or uses an electrical equipment that is listed on the application, an approved medical. For example, a customer with a CPAP machine qualifies for this program, an electric wheelchair, an electric bed. There's just a list of all the different programs, or customers that have a condition that the doctor determines that they need heating and cooling at a certain temperature may also qualify, and that would be the doctor signing off. It's a very simple application. It's a 2-page application, and the first part is filled out by the customer. The second part is filled out by the physician, and it's sent to us, faxed to us, emailed to SDG&E to get on this program. So I highly recommend that. If they're also, the customer does not have to be the name on the account. They just have to be a resident at that home. They have to reside in their home. So I know a lot of, especially in our communities, we have parents that live with us sometimes that we take care of, or that may need this service, or they have a medical condition. So this is one of the programs that I highly recommend that we look into, and if eligible, that we enroll. Next slide. Okay, so this is our new program that we just launched in February, and this is to help customers who are behind on their SDG&E bills. So I'm thrilled to hear that we have this utility rental assistance program that is also helping customers with their bills, with their utility bills. But this is also a program that customers can participate through SDG&E that can help potentially really get rid of their past due debt. So since March of last year, SDG&E has not shut the power off for any residential customer. So we find that many of our customers are really behind on their SDG&E bills because there hasn't been any disconnection of service to our customers. But we want to make sure that there's awareness of this arrearage management payment plan, which we call it in short AMP. But what it really is a debt forgiveness program. And once this participants, how I'm going to explain in the next few slides how this program works, but participants can be behind anywhere. They need to have at least a $500 minimum debt, and we'll forgive up to $8,000. Customers, if a customer is already on a payment plan with SDG&E, and they want to go on this plan, they can eliminate their previous payment plan and go on this AMP plan. And in the next slide, I'm going to talk about the qualifications for this program. Next slide. So in order for a customer to be eligible, here's the criteria. And we want to make sure that customers understand the criteria. That way, when they call the call center, they'll have a better qualification experience, because sometimes they miss one of these criteria and unfortunately they won't be eligible. But they have to be an active residential customer. They must be enrolled in CARE or FARA. So they may have to be a CARE or FARA enrolled customer. They have to have service for a minimum of 6 months with SDG&E. And they have to have at least paid one bill on time in the last 24 months. Meaning in the last 2 years, they had to at least pay one bill on time. And at least some portion of their debt must be 90 days past due. So if a customer is late anywhere, past due anywhere from $500 to $8,000, this is almost a for sure thing that they're at least 90 days past due. Electric only or gas and electric customers, a past due amount of $500 or more. So a customer does have to have at least a debt of $500. And if it's only a gas customer, they need to at least be past due $250. And I know this is a lot of information, and all of this, again, is on our website. And I can also share this presentation with Brenda Lee, that she can share if people have more questions on what the criteria is. Next slide. Okay, so here's an example of how this program works. So let's say I am a customer and I am behind $1,200 on my SDG&E bill. And I meet all the criteria and I'm able to enroll. So what that does is SDG&E will take that $1,200 and divide it by 12, meaning there's $100 forgiveness every single month that a customer pays their current bill on time. So on this chart here, what I have is, let's say in March, I get my current SDG&E bill on time and I pay it. $100 of my past due amount is forgiven, leaving me a balance of $1,100. April comes around, I get my SDG&E bill on time, I make that bill payment on time, another $100 is forgiven, leaving me a balance of $1,000 past due. May, same thing happens, another $100 is forgiven, leaving me a balance of past due of $900. This goes for an entire year. At the end of the year, if I make 12 payments on time, my entire $1,200 debt that I had incurred is forgiven. And that could be $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, up to $8,000. So whatever the customer's debt is divided by 12. And every month that customer makes a payment on time on their SDG&E current bill, then a portion of their debt is completely forgiven. So what happens, let's say a customer in this program could be late twice and still stay on the program as long as they make the payment within that month. So let's say my bill is due today and I didn't pay it, and I still have within that billing cycle, I can still make the payment and still stay on the program twice in the 12 months. So I can be late twice and still stay on the program. So I'll go on to the next slide, which explains a little bit of some of the other criteria. So here's where we're saying miss 2 sequential payments will break the AMP plan. So if I totally miss 2 payments, they're going to take you off the plan. However, if that happens 5 months into the program, whatever was already forgiven, that's already forgiven. That's gone. So like if they had already forgiven $500 and I am no longer able to stay on track with my payments, then the debt is what's remaining. If the customer drops off the plan, there's no income to their debt. That's what I just said with the already forgiven plan. And then eligible customers who drop out can re-enroll after 12-month waiting period. So if for some reason a customer is behind, falls off the program, they can re-enroll. However, we're still not disconnecting customers for non-payment, but eventually that is going to happen. So we encourage customers to get on this plan, stay on the plan, so that way they don't risk disconnection during the time the customer's on the plan. But eventually customer SDG&E will resume business as normal, and we will start shutting customers off. So if they're not on some kind of a plan, they will be faced with disconnection. So that's why it's important that customers know that this program is available for them and that they take advantage along with the other programs that are being offered by the county as for the rental assistance program. Sometimes these can work hand in hand. Like I know that the rental assistance, I think, goes back to March of last year. So maybe they can get that assistance. And if they still have a debt left over, maybe they can enroll in this plan so it can wipe everything out. So, you know, it's just knowing what the options are and knowing what you can get from some of the different agencies and just taking advantage of these programs to make sure that you get caught up on your utilities is a great thing. So I think this is my last slide. I'll open it up to questions at this point. And like I said, today I just cover some of the basic programs to help customers get back on their feet, make sure they're enrolled in the programs that can benefit to reduce their bills, and just to offer this new program, which I think is a great program to help customers kind of get out of that debt that they may have. So questions?
Thank you, Marta. Let's take a look at the chat in case that there are questions written on the chat. And if you have, okay, we have one. My dad lived with me while he was on dialysis, and the reduced rate was a lifesaver. Oh, literally. Thank you for that comment and feedback, Danaida. And Rosie, would there be late penalty amount added for the past due 11, 12 that gets accrued?
No, during COVID, since March of last year, we have waived all late payment fees for customers. So if a customer gets on the plan and starts making their payments, there will not be any late payment accrued to their past due amount.
Thank you. More questions?
I see someone's hand. Is it Monica? Monica Leva, I see a hand.
Maybe that is from earlier?
Maybe.
I do want to thank you, Martha, because you were available to provide a targeted education session to my CRSs. And I invite others to make connections with Martha because she's always available to provide those targeted education sessions to explain more, and not only in English, but also she did it in Spanish for my staff. That feel more comfortable sometimes asking those questions in Spanish so they can relate exactly the language, the appropriate language into it to use in explaining these services to our community. So I invite you all to connect with Martha and seek out this opportunity because she had made herself available for those education sessions and trainings to staff directly. And now that we're kind of preparing as the weather changes, and we started getting to rely more and more on fans and air conditioning, and thus a higher energy use. I think that is imperative for us to follow up on this. Let me see another comment from the chat. Oh, sorry if I missed this, but is this program available countywide?
Yes, yeah. So this program is available for any SDG&E customers. Now, I also know that this is statewide as well. So Edison and PG&E, I believe, also offer this program as well. But yes, this is countywide. This program is available to any SDG&E customer that qualifies, that meets the qualifications.
And Marta, if you can type in your email address in the chat for people to then make a contact directly with you for more specifics. I know it's kind of tricky with all the formula and the numbers. And that's why.
And you know, I'm happy, like I know that you guys represent a lot of different organizations in the community. And if any of this information is of interest to you, or you have folks in your organization, like Brenda Lee just mentioned, that serve customers, that help customers, I'm more than happy to join you virtually for now still, and go over this information. If you want a one-on-one session just to understand a little bit more of how the program works, that's great. I know it's a lot of information, and it's you know, there may be additional programs. We only got a short time to, you know, in presentation. So I'm happy to answer any questions, set up a meeting with you, come out to your, I mean, like I said, virtually to your organization and go over these programs, whatever your needs. I mean, we Chula Vista Community Collaborative is an incredible partner of SDG&E, and therefore all the participants on this call are also our partners as well. So I'm happy to provide any of these services that you may need in understanding these programs better. And we have other programs too. Today, we just wanted to focus on this, but our presentations can be tailored, customized to whatever the organization's needs are. So I just put my email address on the chat, and so you can reach me directly through email.
Excellent. Thank you, Marta. And
thank you, Brenda Lee.
Yes. And David, our next presentation lineup, let's take a look at our list. And I've been responding to emails regarding the link. Somebody asked via email if we can provide Zoom meetings instead of Teams. We decided to go to Teams platform because it's kind of like more and more of the industry standard alongside with the system that the elementary school district Chula Vista uses. So forgive us for that, but I think that more and more we are getting access to Teams, and you don't have to download the app necessarily. You can still use it online for access. And David, who's our next speaker?
It should be Teresa, and she wants to share her screen as well.
Teresa, are you ready to share your screen?
Absolutely, Kat. If you don't mind, I'd like to first introduce myself and my team here. We are San Diego Futures Foundation. And first of all, buenos dias, ¿cómo estás? How are you? Hoping you're having a good morning. Can you do me a favor if you're in the meeting today? Have you heard of San Diego Futures Foundation? Can you just give us a thumbs up to let us know if you have even heard of San Diego Futures Foundation or not? There we go. Well, thumbs up virtually so we can see. Everybody's like, forgive me, I don't speak Spanish very well, but I speak Spanglish. Got some hands up over here, some thumb emojis. So I'm going to go ahead and give you a presentation of an overview of our programs and services. But afterwards, I'd like to come back and hone it into digital literacy, if you will, and how we could perhaps work together, whether that be, actually, I was going to say whether that be South Bay or the entire county of San Diego, because that's who we serve. So without further ado, let me go ahead and share my screen.
All that,
and you can go ahead.
All that in 15 minutes.
Okay, so this is San Diego Futures Foundation, and we're on the corner of 43rd and El Cajon, kitty corner to the Copley Price YMCA. We are in the business of improving lives through technology. We've been in the business for 21 years when the county of San Diego decided to outsource their IT services. We were incorporated at that time frame. So 21 years of charitable giving, we've done quite a bit of impact in the county of San Diego, more importantly, in the lives of San Diegans. And that includes, at this time, up to 5 million pounds. Did you hear that? 5 million pounds that have been kept of e-waste that has been kept out of the landfills. Because what we do is we take that and we recycle it so that we can reuse it, so that we can redistribute it. And by redistributing it, we have been able to provide nonprofits with up to 5 computers each. And I'm sure that many of you here today have computers from San Diego Futures Foundation. If not now, you've had them. And I will show you in a little bit what that looks like as far as our impact. Over 56,000 computers distributed, low-cost computer program. Our computers run up to $100 to $300. That's it, with a 1-year warranty as well. And digital literacy, over 10,000 plus hours of digital literacy training. Of course, we've also moved virtual as well. I really am proud of the last one, which is foster families. So what we do is on an annual basis, donate free computers to foster families, to caregivers. And now we've incorporated that. We've incorporated transitioning youth as well. So we have an indirect impact of over 1 million San Diegans as a result of our programs and services. What are we talking about here today? We're talking about the digital divide. People that don't have a computer, people that are, even if they do have a computer, don't necessarily know how to use that computer, that don't have the right connection, if you will, in regard to broadband. And even if you do have broadband, what's not included is how many people live in that household. And so perhaps you've got 5 individuals in one household off one line, and it's just not working. And what does that do? That's the implications of the digital divide, as you all know. I'm sure we've all come across this as a result of COVID. COVID has actually, for us, San Diego Futures Foundation has shined a light on the digital divide. We've been talking about it and working towards bridging this divide for over 21 or for up to 21 years. But now we really got to look at, I'm sure you have stories as well, as far as what those implications are between the haves and the have-nots, the barrier to knowledge, the isolation that it causes. Senior citizens, we serve intergenerationally. So from senior citizens, from students. So we get the whole gamut. The solution, digital inclusion for all, so that everybody has access to a computer, so that there is no gap. And I can tell you right now, globally, at least nationally, tons of millions of billions of dollars is being poured into this topic right here. This is big. Community partners is we partner with individuals such as yourself. I would definitely like to speak to any of you that are interested in becoming a partner and working together for the greater good. So we take hardware, we take that hardware, from that hardware we provide educational services, IT services for nonprofits at a very, very affordable rate in comparison to what it normally would cost. How do we get those computer donations? We partner with the County of San Diego, and more recently with the City of San Diego. Corporate, private, public, private, corporate, individual. To be honest with you, from anybody, we'll take your e-waste and it's free. We'll come pick it up. Also, if it's 25 items or more, as long as it's in the County of San Diego. And so here's our hardware team here. And what we do is we take that hardware, we refurbish it, we re-image it. So, and then after that, we're able to redistribute it. Let me show you what that looks like, if you don't mind. I'm sure there's no doubt that some of you are on this map. What does this map represent? That represents nonprofits that have received computers from San Diego Futures Foundation. And this is why we have an indirect impact of over 1 million people in San Diego County that have used our services. This is Zach. He was the 50,000th computer recipient who came in, a veteran, to buy a computer for his daughter. He could not afford it, so we donated it to him, just so that he can have a computer, or his daughter, more importantly, can have a computer to learn, because it's a tool. It's a tool. So we offer low-cost computers, affordable computer options with Windows 10 Pro. We've got a 1-year warranty. Again, many people have utilized our computers over the years, over 55,000. We also have, this is what I would like to come back and focus on here, is our educational component, because all the funds that are received as a result of the recycling that we do, we go ahead and we put that back into our educational component, because what we found out was that just because you have a computer does not mean you know how to use that computer. And so we got really specific in regard to what exactly we offer. So of course, during this time, we've incorporated Zoom so that individuals know how to get on and communicate, whether that just be with a family member or whether it be in such a meeting as this. Internet safety, we take it, and social media safety, how to identify links, how to be able to check it for viruses, things of that nature. This is important, and if you don't know, you don't know. And so you're exposed and you're open. And of course, email we found was very, very prevalent for parents to be able to connect with the teacher, with the counselor. Online shopping to make it easier. I'm in a wheelchair. Online shopping is essential. Uber is essential. But if I don't know how to use that app, which might be really easy for many people, But think about where you're going to be when you're a senior citizen. Will you be able to keep up and be connected with all that's going on? And we always, in all of our workshops, talk about healthy tech tips. What does that mean? Are you sitting correctly? Are you at proper distance from your computer? How much time are you using on that computer? Is the light affecting your eyes? Are you taking proper breaks? Step away from the computer, because sometimes it's just too much. All of our courses are in English and in Spanish. And this is Maribel. I do have to mention, I'm very proud of my intern, Maribel, who was able to graduate in regard to marketing. Who do we serve? If you look at our mission statement, it says low-income households, senior citizens, disadvantaged businesses, and all of that is true. But the bottom line is, we serve San Diegans. We wish to empower San Diegans, not label San Diegans as marginalized, underserved, underrepresented. That's where we're coming from. We're coming about, we serve who needs a computer. The rest doesn't matter. What matters more importantly is that we're here in order to provide services for the individuals that need them. So we serve San Diegans. So if you don't mind, I'd like to go ahead, please. Just one moment. Here we go. Just a little bit about what we do.
I just got my master's degree. I needed to buy a computer that was going to be efficient and work all through that, all the different platforms. So instead of spending anywhere from $400 to $1,500 on a fancy, beautiful computer, I decided to go to San Diego Futures and then worry about that later. And it was successful. This computer was able to meet all my needs, and it continues to meet my needs several years after I purchased my first computer. Every person needs a personal computer, not just a phone, not just a tablet, but a personal computer, because we're navigating our everyday life through these computers, not only personally, but professionally, and also with our health too. So it's a well balance. There's different reasons we use it: spiritually, professionally, personally, for our health, for entertainment, to get educated, to get informed, to make decisions. So I just can't say enough good things about San Diego Futures Foundation and being able to provide these computers to the communities, whether it's for businesses, nonprofits, families, etc.
Questions or answers? Let's see how I can get back to you. Okay, so let me stop sharing my screen. And there we go. Does anybody have any questions? Please. We're available for you. Azalia is here, and so is Shirley, and I think Janera is here as well. We can provide the links for you in regard to low-cost computers, whether that be for nonprofits or for individuals, and especially in regard to digital literacy services. We would love to partner with you and provide services and be that conduit for change, if you will, to bridge the digital divide. After all, we're in the business of improving lives through technology. Thank you.
Thank you, Teresa. Yes, yes, yes. Because actually, from our experience at the FRCs and over the holidays, to help with our elderly, and not even elderly, just anybody that really needed to stay in contact, stay in touch with families during the holidays, but also be in preparation of active participation in telehealth and address still chronic disease management activities with either the clinician or so forth. So it's not only about entertainment or even about education, it's really could be a matter of life and death with support for chronic disease management. So certainly I welcome the opportunity for other organizations to link with you. Your staff have made your contact information available in the chat. And remember that via Teams, you can always come back to that chat and use the links at your disposal. Thank you. And we have our third speaker lineup. David, who is that? You know,
That's going to be Carlos.
Lucky contestant number 3, come on up. Thank you, Brenda. Good morning, everyone. Indeed, that's myself. Thank you. My name is Carlos Alessandrini. I'm with Family Health Centers of San Diego. I'm a nutritionist, health educator. And while we have the screen come up, perfect. I'm promoting we call it CLEAR, which stands for Childhood-Led Education and Reduction Program. This program has been funded by the Childhood-Led Poisoning Prevention Program through the CDPH and also through the County of San Diego Health and Human Services Agency. So in a few words, I not only have one boss, but up to 3 bosses that I have to please at the same time. We can go to the next presentation. So this upcoming presentation slide is the general overview of my presentation. I'll be really honest with you. I have a time constraint, of course, but we're going to give you the just quick summarized, short and sweet version of my presentation to the community, which is intended to be for parents and children, parents with children under 6 years of age. And you'll learn why it's very important for these parents to have this information. So just a quick icebreaker. So I'm going to help you out with those folks just answering the question in a format of options. The question is, what do you guys think, or what is it that you believe that lead tastes like? And we have 4 options. Letter A for metallic taste, B, acidic taste, C, a sweet taste, or D, a sour taste. So again, if you don't mind helping me out, just a quick icebreaker, you can start dropping in the answers. What does lead taste like? A, metallic, B, acidic, C, sweet, or D for sour? So let's see those questions. Sweet, okay, there we go. Let's see, what else? Was everyone familiar with that answer from my previous presentation? So indeed, unfortunately, lead is known to be sweet. So that's one of the reasons why we've seen children will be fond of it and start to eat it more often once they have it in their near environment. So that's one of the things that I like to point out. What does lead taste like? We define what is lead by itself, what is lead poisoning, how is it that a child could get poisoned, symptoms, if any, potential health effects, or more importantly, the empowerment. We can go to the next slide, David. What is it that a parent or caregiver should do to avoid it? So lead by itself is a naturally occurring heavy metal, and that's the shape we usually find it in Earth's crust. Now, it's important to highlight that it's very toxic for the human body, but we're focusing specifically on children under 6 years of age. We can go to the next slide, please, David. And specifically, we're thinking of children under 6 years of age, and I've actually found literature that's very important to keep them away from lead from the first 1,000 days of their lifetime. The first few years or even the first few months of their lifetime are crucial to keep them away from this toxic metal because, of course, they're still developing. And here in California, it's still unfortunately one of the most common environmental illnesses in our children. Of course, with this information, the idea would be to prevent it. We can go to the next one. So let's see here. Lead is a naturally occurring heavy metal, and the definition of lead poisoning is just simply the accumulation of lead in the body. It can be very fast if we have a child swallowing paint chips, a fishing sinker, or anything that could be leaded, or it could be a process of months or up to years in the case they're starting to inhale leaded paint dust in their environment. But again, it's very important to keep children under 6 years away from this toxic metal because it can cause mental or physical impairment. We can go to the next one. In the past, we used to say that certain amounts were okay to have in the body. Now we know for a fact that there is no level whatsoever of lead that is safe for the human body. Therefore, the importance of the lead test, which is actually the most important message that I always focus and stress on at the end of the presentation. And we'll do so right now. However, it's very confusing to learn that this terrible disease is asymptomatic. And of course, we have COVID to thank for the term asymptomatic, heard all over the place, right? Most children who have lead poisoning do not look nor act sick. We can go to the next one, which can be a bit confusing because you are seeing certain symptoms, even though that I mentioned we are not supposed to. However, of course, except for the ones highlighted in red, you will notice that most of those symptoms can be confused with a lot of different symptoms, from headaches, the nausea, the vomiting, and therefore, again, it's known as an asymptomatic disease and the importance of having the lead test. Next one, please. As I mentioned, in the different health repercussions, we usually like to focus those on two, physical and mental. Just to point out, the most important as far as the physical, the correlation with anemia. In the case that your child is diagnosed with anemia, it's important to address it with the physician, highlighting that you would be interested in a lead test because the same nature of this deficiency of iron could actually increase the risk of absorbing lead. Now, as far as with the mental repercussions, and this is one of the things that it's fascinating to learn, unfortunately, how is it that lead affects the brain development, specifically in the frontal lobe of the brain? This is the area that's responsible for our emotional maturity, for our decision-making rationale. In a few words, lead poisoning children could develop behavioral problems. They could be very hyperactive, very moody. From there, it could be a link to attention deficit or even a decrease in IQ. So as we learning, this is very important to keep away from our children to prevent a lifetime of decisions that they could be making mistakenly. One more quick question for you guys. And the next one is, as we all know, lead is very famous to be in paint. When was it that lead-based paint was banned? Was it A, in 1990, B, 1982, C, 1980, or D, 1978? For options, A, 1990, B, 1982, C, 1980, or D, 1978. Just a few seconds. Let's see if we have some answers kicking in. Because, hey, we are all familiar with paint. Now, David has been educated before, as I can see, or took a look at my presentation. That's the right answer. We can go to the next slide, please, David. So indeed, for the same reason that this is very toxic, the US has come a long way to remove it from the environment. It was in 1978 that they banned lead-based paint, the 1980s for having food cans being soldered with lead, and in 1990s that they removed lead from gasoline and hence the term unleaded gasoline. We can move to the next one. So again, just a quick overview of different things that could have lead. We talked about the paint, especially in window sills, door frames. We can move to the next one, please. I know it's a very extreme image, but it's important to highlight. We don't want any walls in our household, ideally in our neighborhood. In the case that these walls are in the inside, very easily going to contaminate any areas in our household. If it's on the outside, same thing. It can contaminate our playgrounds, our soil, any fruit trees, garden. They could actually have produce high on lead if the soil was contaminated. Moving on to the next one, please, David. We have toys, we have jewelry, those old antique classic furnitures as well, even car keys, home keys. For the same reason, we've been preaching about hand washing for quite some time, even before the pandemic started. Now, in my version for the community, I do go deeper into why is it these things could have lead. For now, I'm just letting you know the list, which is a long one, but of course, we're going to get to the solutions. Next one, please. Of course, we've heard about the clay pots, those beautiful designs. The sadly news regarding the imported candy, some of those coming from Mexico, especially when they have chili or tamarind, and several theories given by the county as far as why this is. Cosmetics, it could also be in different, again, food, or of course in our water due to the plumbing or piping. It's not necessarily because of the city source, but again, depending on our household's piping. It wasn't until 1990 that the Safe Water Act prohibited to solder or to use lead-based piping. Next one, please. So again, one more source. This is known as take-home exposure. Individuals working in the field exposed to lead, bringing lead into the household through the uniforms or the same equipment that they use to protect themselves from the masks, the goggles. It's important to highlight that they want these clothing to be removed, if ideally at the workplace or as soon as they get home, so we avoid having these residues in our living rooms, in our cars, in anywhere that we have. And these areas of work would be from mechanical fields, construction, demolition, recycling, in any job associated with paint as well. Next one, please, David. This could also be for different hobbies, from fishing sinkers made out of lead, even, for example, target practice instructors. Don't forget, lead is also used to make bullets. Next one, please. So, of course, very important what to highlight of what not to do with this paint. Ideally, we want to use a specialized contractor or a professional that will go about removing and remodeling this paint, because we've seen different cases in the county where recently remodeled households actually had these cases. Again, the fine dust will travel very easily. For the same reason, it's important not to scrape this paint in a dry condition. These experts will use a specialized tool that will not only scrape but wet the paint and at the same time vacuum it, because again, it poses a high threat and risk for anyone in the environment. Next one, please. The hand washing, we talked about this before, very important. Now we have the pandemic, of course, to remind us. Next one, same thing with our household hygiene, not only to use a duster to spread to pick up the dust by a damp cloth or a wet mop. And it's important, again, to keep our household dust free as possible. Next one, please. This is one of the areas that I miss the most, engaging with my live audiences, of course, to plant the seed as a well nutritionist of our healthy diets, right? Specifically for this purpose, we are looking for 3 micronutrients, which are calcium, iron, and vitamin C. Through the generalized, I like to do a reminder of fruit, the intake of fruit and vegetables, to be able to have the highest diet in nutrient dense, meaning things that will keep us away from lead going into our children's bodies. Next one, please. And the most important message, which is pretty much to remind everyone of the lead test. This is a test that should be conducted at least twice in our children's age, at the year and 2 years of age. However, unfortunately, we've seen, due to the census, thankfully, that it's very important to make sure that we remind physicians, that we engage physicians, that our children were tested, and not only to ask for the test, but the result. It's a numerical value, folks, and it's not a positive or a negative, and we want to make sure that our child does not surpasses that limit established by the CDC. So it always engages conversation with your physician. Next one, please. Make sure you're being an advocate for your child, and that you confirm that, again, your child was tested at the 1 and 2 years of age. And don't forget, lead could be a risk up to the 6 years of age mark. So if they're exposed after 2 years of age, you might not know about it. Sometimes for the same reason, it's always good to advise parents to continue to ask for this test up to the 6 years of age mark, so we can make sure that it's no longer a threat. Next one, please. In the case that the child does come out to be high on lead, then the physician will refer that case to the county. And depending on the result, the county will refer some of these services. Next one, please. So this is just a quick questionnaire they usually do with the community, just to make sure the messages were well delivered. We're not going to do this, of course. Next one, please. Resources, just to highlight the first website, which is just to make sure that in the case you're interested in getting recalls of different products that have been recalled for lead content, you can go to the Consumer Product Safety Commission page, and you will get all those recall alerts. Next one, please. just about ready to wrap it up. I don't know if you have any questions, any comments. Again, it's a quick summarized version of my presentation. I usually do a little testing of the clay pottery that we do these with the little crayons. I don't know, they're being blurred, but I can send you the information that you can get those little crayons bought at any hardware store to test things for lead from our pottery. It could be walls, it could be any hard surface areas. And that's pretty much it. I don't know if there's anyone that has any questions, any comments. Feel more than welcome to drop them in the chat box. Again, you will have my information right there. Appreciate the time, Brenda Lee. And thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you much, because all those topics, as we move into more, well, with the reopening and getting back to, in direct contact with the community, we can have those sessions. So I invite everybody to share a resource that you have here as part of the collaborative, and Carlos already shared his contact info for any follow-ups that then later you're ready to make. Thank you, Carlos.
Thank you again, Brenda Lee, and everyone.
Great. And now for the final presentation, we have baby Ruth. And Dr. Rebecca Rivera joining us today for her story and her wonderful work at Babe Ruth's Safe Haven. Take it away. You're on mute.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Rebecca Rivera. I'm the founder and executive director of the Baby Ruth Safe Haven. And I would first like to thank Ms. Rodriguez for allowing me to present this morning. I have a PowerPoint presentation that is going to detail what Baby Ruth Safe Haven offers to individuals in San Diego County. Next. And this is Baby Ruth. The nonprofit was founded in her memory. She was born, next, David. She was born at 20 weeks and she died at 18 months old, and this nonprofit is in her memory. Next. And our philosophy is, if you get to the root, which is the woman, you will heal the branch, which is the child. You help the root, you help the branch, you change the world. Next. Some of the resources, I'll go into more detail later on, but some of the resources is Baby Ruth has an armoire, which is a clothing center. We also have a diaper program, a children's backpack program. Next. We have an elderly pull-up diaper program. We also have baby formula and wipes, homeless tie bag ministry. And we also sponsor a food distribution center in Spring Valley. Next. And some of the services that Baby Ruth offers is resume assistance, mock interviews, and other resources. And because of the COVID, we're kind of on hold on that just until the restrictions are lifted more. Next. The armoire clothing. We offer new and used women's, children, and men's clothing. We have shoes and accessories, and we have women and men's professional employment attire. Next. The diaper program is for families in need of diapers from newborn to size 6 as far as the diaper. There's no documentation needed. We give them bi-weekly or monthly. There's no requirements, and this is an ongoing program. So if they come, let's say this Friday, and they get a supply for 2 weeks, they can come again the next 2 weeks, and it's ongoing. Next. The homeless tie bag ministry has hygiene products in there. We have educational books, diets, about health. And again, there's no requirements on that. Next. The children's backpack program, we have school supplies in the backpacks, we have educational books and videos, and we also put in a toy in the backpacks according to the age. Next. The elderly program is similar to the baby diaper program. It's pull-ups and diapers for the elderly, and there's no requirement as well. Next. The baby formula, we give baby formula and baby wipes also to families in need. And the resume building and mock interviews, again, that's when the COVID restrictions will be lifted. We help them, women, build resumes, and we also do mock interviews with them. Next. And this is the food distribution center. It is located at the same place as the other resources. And that's once a month on a Sunday. They just need to call the number and we can tell them which Sunday and we give them free food. Next. On future services and projects is WLA, Women's Anonymous meetings. We want to offer parenting classes, GED courses, and have a Baby Ruth Women and Children Safe Haven Center. Next. And if anyone would like to donate or volunteer, there's the numbers to they can reach me and an email address. Thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca. And well, la doctora Rivera. We also have a program on clothing. So I know firsthand from the impact that those type of programs that offer immediate, right then and there, assistance with those kind of sensitive topics, especially about clothing, about shoes.
Yes.
It's very needed. So I applaud the work that you're doing there. And those volunteers, we rely, in probably your case as well, rely on volunteers to keep those clothing and other programs with the latest, with everything washed, cleaned, organized, coded, and available. Also cleaning and disinfecting those areas for the next customer that comes in and all that. So it does, I know that it does take a lot of work for running those very sensitive topic programs. So I commend the work of your organization, Dr. Rivera.
Thank you.
And as you know, so there are multiple services from all these programs. We have like about a minute for any major announcement that we may have from attendees of this call. Our next call is on May the 11th. Then in June, we don't plan to have one in July, given the break, and coming back on August the 10th. Before we leave, any comment from any of our attendees today? We have more comments coming in the chat. Let me see if there is a hand up. Up. You're welcome to just voice it out.
Hi, Brendali. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, everyone. My name is Nancy. I'm from the San Diego Hunger Coalition. I just wanted to extend the invitation in case anyone wants to learn more about the food assistant resources that are available in the county. We have our Hunger Free Navigator training. We host this every month, and we have one coming up on the 29th of April. And so you'll be able to check out some of the updates like PEBT, and additional information around CalFresh. So I hope I can see a few of you there.
Thank you for that info. Any other major event happening in April before we connect again on May the 11th?
Hello. Hello, this is Tony Marquez.
Hello.
Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, you're cutting off, but tell us here.
Yes, and my name is Tony Marcus, and I'm Head Start program. And I just want to announce that we're taking applications for our Head Start program. And you can always link in at the ecsheadstart.org.
Thank you so much.
Did you get the message?
That out in the chat for those that were not able to get it completely. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other major announcements?
Hi, this is Monica from HealthNet. I just posted an ACEs webinar that we're conducting on April 22nd at 11 a.m. So this is for community health workers, and it's kind of like a non-clinical one. So for promotoras or community workers that want to learn how to better serve communities and hard to reach populations. So registration information is in the chat. Thank you.
And
This is
we have somebody. Last one coming.
yes. This is Matthew from CSA San Diego. I put in the chat. It's Fair Housing Month this month, so I put in the chat. We're actually putting on a symposium on April 28th and 29th. It's a free symposium. We have some great speakers lined up, so I hope to see everybody there. Certainly, if you have questions, let us know. We're also doing an extensive training in partnership with CHIP on Friday. If you're interested in learning more about that, just email me at outreach@c4sa.org, or you can go to our events website, our events page on our website. But either way, we hope to see you at one of those meetings to honor Fair Housing Month. Thank you.
Thank you, Matthew. And as you, just a reminder that the recording of this call and the materials provided by the speakers today will be available for downloading from our webpage in the Partners tab. And also, if you want others to receive the notifications and announcement for this call, please make sure to refer them to this page because they can self-subscribe to the listserv. And we try our best to not to bombard your inbox. You may get of course, the monthly reminder for the call, but also, let's say, one or two other max as in compilation of those resources that have been shared with us. And there is one other flyer, for example, of the program Partnerships for Success is there. The handout, the flyer, is going to be included in today's materials for you to download and have available for your own dissemination activities. That actually this one, we have it, as David is putting it up, in Spanish and in English because they are wanting your feedback and are willing to even put a raffle for gift cards there. And I encourage you to take a closer look at those flyers, both in English and in Spanish, as you download them from our website within 24 hours after David puts everything up. And with that, 10:34 Pacific time, we bid adieu until May the 11th. Thank you so much for joining us today. I know your schedule is pretty busy with many webinars, calls, and you are making the time to do your outreach here, see us as a partner, and please look out for that survey link to give us your feedback on the impact that the collaborative has been having, is having, and will be having in 2021 with your organization. So thank you so much again for your participation today. Bye-bye. Thank you, David. Goodbye, everybody.